Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited that you're here. I'm Sam Laprade. We're going to be talking everything fundraising, how you can do what you need to do in the next 60 days to make the most out of the rest of the year. I wanted to introduce our good friend, of course, Hannah Rockburn. She's with the Capacity Building Institute. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. You're going to tell us a little bit about the Capacity Building Institute?
Yes, thank you. I will just get my
pleasure
here.
While Hannah's getting everything together, we'd love to see in the chat where everybody's coming from. This is like my favorite part. Every month we get to see where everybody's coming from. So give us a shout out in the chat and let us know where you're from while Hannah gets herself organized, and then we'll be able to get on with our hour of lots of great information today. So
perfect. Thanks. Yeah, so I hope everyone can see my screen there. So welcome. My name is Hannah Rockburn, and I am the operations manager here at the Capacity Building Institute. So thanks for everyone for joining us for our monthly Capacity Series webinar. So what we do here at the Capacity Building Institute is we provide training, coaching, and mentorship support for small shop environmental nonprofits all across Canada. We are also a part of the Sustainable Capacity Solutions, which you'll hear more about later in the evening. So for our organization, with the challenges like climate change and nature loss and species decline and dominating our headlines, we believe that the work of environmental nonprofit organizations are more important than ever. And we want to encourage these nonprofit leaders, staff, and volunteer. We're consistently balancing the urgency and scale of all these different issues that we're facing with limited resources and training available. So what we want to do here is we aim to foster leadership within our environmental sector by providing training, coaching, and mentorship at all stages for leadership. So we have executive directors to board members, volunteers, fundraisers, interns just coming into the sector, and other staff that you might have. And our mission and our goal is to train 10,000 leaders of small shop nonprofit organizations over the next 10 years. And you guys are a part of that by joining us here tonight. So we believe that the Canada's environment deserves all the help it can get, from having well-run nonprofit organizations, from donors and well-trained staff and board members, that we play a vital role to the ongoing effort to ensure a healthy and sustainable future for all Canadians, and that training matters. It's really important to keep your organizations well staffed and organized, and just to have that strong foundation to build your organization on. And we also believe that small shop organizations, we make a big difference. Now, we are the organizations that are on the ground. You guys are doing the work, and you're making that difference. And so we want to support you in your missions and to be able to build and give that strong foundation to your organization. And that there's always so much to do. The list is ongoing, and we want to be able to commit and help each other and build together. So to tackle these tasks and to be able to help with climate change and successfully helping with your missions, we do offer a variety of different training programs. So we have our flagship program, which is the Capacity Building Certificate Program. So this one's aimed for executive directors and senior management of your organization, as well as we have our internship training program, which is almost like a light version meant for organizations and interns that are just starting in the sector, that maybe have just recently graduated and kind of want to get their foot in the door to see what the environmental sector is all about. We also have our fundraising intensive workshops. So that's more of a one-on-one with your organization to really tackle different fundraising tips and tricks and help, and have a little community that we can support each other through fundraising. Then we have our webinar series that's tonight. So they're monthly, they are free, and they're an hour long, and we encourage you guys to all come. It's a great time where we tackle a range of different topics and have a variety of panelists and guest speakers to help enrich the experience. We also just recently also have the leadership training stream that we've launched, and this is more for new organizations or new leaders that they may have taken the internship training program with us. They're just starting to get into that more of a leadership role in the sector with their organization. And so that is like a stepping stone before taking the capacity building certificate program that they can take. We range on all of our programs focus on the 6 core themes. So we have financial management and fund development, governance and board development, volunteer engagement, human resources, communications, risk management, and leadership and organizational culture. And then we just have a quote here from Dominique, who from Youth Climate Lab that had taken the program before, and she had mentioned about the financial management and that community that we definitely tend to create. And we do want to focus on the networking, the building, and being able to support each other. So it's more than just the training, but it's also with those connections and having that support. We have a range of leaders and trainers. So we have our main lead trainers here. We have Sam, Rob, Barb, and Alex, all with their own specialties. And we also bring in a variety of guest speakers to help enrich the programs as well. And for our team, so there's myself, the operations manager, and we also have Rob, who's our current executive director. And then we also, if you want to have any questions or if you have any suggestions of like topics we can address at this session, or if you're interested in maybe taking any of the programs in 2023, you can reach out to us through info@capacitybuilding.ca or fill out our contact form on our website. We also have a newsletter that goes out monthly that we encourage everyone to sign up for so that you can keep updated on all of the latest news. And lastly, I'll just say to save the date, for we have one more of our monthly series for this year. So it's happening Monday, December 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be tackling the topic of burnout. So we encourage you all to register if you haven't already for that, which you can do on our website at capacitybuilding.ca/events. So with that, I will pass it back over to Sam.
Fantastic, as always. Thank you so much. I wanted to share with you just a very simple PowerPoint tonight. It's just mainly to keep me on track, actually, but we're happy to share it with you if it's helpful. I'm just going to share my screen now, and you can have an opportunity to follow along. As we mentioned, this is an opportunity for us to really connect in terms of fundraising the next 60 days, how important this is going to be. So we look forward to all of that. And we're obviously watching the chat. So don't hesitate to reach out and say anything in the chat, any questions you might have. I find fundraising is very much language based in many ways. So I might be referring something as an appeal and you might be calling it something else. So there is a lot of language challenges sometimes in fundraising. So if I'm using a term that maybe you use a different term for, don't hesitate to put up your hand. I know our friends, of course, Hannah and Owen will be watching the chat really closely today as well. So we get a chance to see where everybody is, and we see that that Jim's here. We're saying hi to Jim. We'd like to say hi to everybody, so don't hesitate to tell everybody where you're from in there, and we can get a chance to obviously answer any questions that you might have as well. So we've got the chat open now for you, so don't be shy. Tell us where you're coming from, and we can have a chance to see where everybody is from across the lovely country we live in. So once again, I'm Sam Laprade. I have been fundraising for about 33 years now. I've made every mistake in the book, so I'm happy to share any of my mistakes with you as well. But today is really about that next 60 days. And I tell people all the time, I've raised, millions of dollars over 33 years. But I think some of my biggest wins were at the end of this year. Some of the things I'm most proud of were at the end of the year, where, it's a really important time. As we know in fundraising, this may be for you, similar for you, or it may not be. A lot of organizations raise the majority of their money between Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving, and December 31st. So we do have we're in the middle of that window now. So we're going to have an opportunity today to try and inspire you and see if you can also raise some good money. So our time together today, we're really going to focus on how to maximize this fundraising for the next 60 days, how to engage in stewardship. And for those that may be not familiar with that term, or you might know it, may not know how it applies to you, we're going to talk a little bit about stewardship. We're going to invite your champions in to join you. I think a lot of times, whether you're an executive director doing fundraising, or you're a really small shop, or maybe you've got a couple of other team members, fundraising can feel pretty lonely sometimes, but the reality is fundraising is a team sport. So we want to figure out how to invite champions in and those people to share your message, because sometimes one of the most effective ways of sharing your message is having someone else tell your story for you. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to how to use these days, well, it's a little bit shorter than 60 now, but how to use these important days leading up to December 31st to set you up for success in 2023. So I've got sort of a quick little thing we can do. I'm encouraging you to grab a piece of paper or anything you can sort of write down on for that particular exercise. That'll be helpful. And then also how to care for yourself through this, because I'm going to tell you, this particular time of year can be really overwhelming. I'll put my hand up and say, I have gone through it where, on Christmas Eve, I'm, absolutely exhausted after a really, really busy time, and I'm not able to sort of really enjoy the holidays with my family. So we can become really overwhelmed in this sector. And I want to make sure I can share some of that little tip for you as well on how to take care of yourself, because we're not good to anybody, right? If we're not good to ourselves. So the best time to start something is now. So a lot of you are thinking, oh my heavens, Sam, it's November 7th. And, we're not going to have time to do everything. I'm going to give you lots of ideas today. In no way do I think you're going to be able to do all these, not because I don't think you're superhuman, but it's just, it really would take an army in many ways to get all of this done. So I'd love you on that piece of paper we talked about to write 1, 2, 3, to find 3 ideas today to walk away with and implement them. And really my mantra, and I don't know if it's just that I'm getting old, but my mantra really has become, don't sacrifice the good for the perfect. So, and what I mean by that is that, do something as opposed to trying to do something really well that never gets done, right? So just try something. So whether that's you pick 3 things today and you get 2 of them done, great. If you pick, 3 things, you get 1 of them done, it's something different, that's fine. We're not expecting you to do all 15 things, but certainly it's an idea generator today for you. So the best time to start something is now. So let's start something. The very first thing, and I don't know if everybody has on board with what we refer to as Giving Tuesday. So just a little bit of background for those that may not be familiar. Giving Tuesday is an initiative that started maybe about 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And it's basically really that Tuesday after the American Thanksgiving. So they have American Thanksgiving, they have Black Friday, that crazy weekend, of course, is always a very busy shopping weekend. Cyber Monday. Well, they decided, some very smart people many, many years ago, to come up with something called Giving Tuesday, which was meant to be the philanthropic part of the crazy busy season. It has raised billions, yes, with a B, billions of dollars globally. So if you're not familiar with it, it is fantastic. Now, a couple things. Giving Tuesday can be a bit overwhelming for donors because they might be receiving, if they're a donor to 5 charities are reaching out to them. So really we have to sort of temper our expectations regarding Giving Tuesday. You can definitely raise some money. I'm going to talk about all those different ways to do that. But it also is a competitive day, if you will, in our sector, but it's also a great day because once again, sometimes this is when people become engaged and you see people giving that have never given before. So it is a really great day. So you want to plan a bit of a campaign. Now, here's the great thing. And I know that our friends, Hannah and Owen, will be able to look this up quickly and throw it in the chat. But this is an opportunity for us to go on the Giving Tuesday site. I went too fast there. Go on the Giving Tuesday site, and they've got lots of different resources there for you. So go there and look at all the different logos. They've got some different ideas. Now, personalize this for your own organization, though. They're giving you ideas, for all sorts of different kinds of groups. but use it as a resource. So don't just steal everything. I mean, that's what you're meant to do, is to go there and steal stuff, but definitely add your own flavor, your own personality for your organization to that as well. So we're seeing lots of different people here. Thank you so much for joining. I'm taking a peek at the chat there. So the Giving Tuesday stuff, there's Owen right on the ball. So Owen's got that information there for you. So grab that website and take a look at it. What you can do for Giving Tuesday, or for really any time, is find a matching donor or a corporate partner. So one of the things I've done for one of my clients about 3 years ago, and it's been going for 3 years now, is I found them a matching partner for this time of year. So that corporate partner gives $20,000, and all donations then can be matched up to $20,000. So what it does is you're able to say to donors, for your $100, we'll get $200 because this corporate partner is joining. So finding a matching donor is a great idea. This can be an individual, it can be someone anonymous, although it's not great because we really want to kind of inspire people by who the matching donor is, or it can be a corporate partner. And this is very popular. Now, I use the figure $20,000, which might be, oh my heavens, that's a lot of money. Some people, you'll see them have matching partners up to $100,000. You might even see some organizations on Giving Tuesday have 2 or 3 matching partners. So what they'll say is your $100 becomes $200, becomes $300, becomes $400. So they could, sort of have a lot of these matching partners. If you've never done anything like this before, do not fret. You can find, if you even found for, your organization, if you are the first time you're doing this, go out and find somebody that might give you $2,000 as a matching partner. Don't feel like these ideas are just for these really big charities. If you're a big charity, go for it. And if you've got that kind of context, but if you want just starting off this year, find a corporate partner that's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, even $1,000, right? Just find some sort of corporate partner. So that would be the second idea today, is to do Giving Tuesday. And we can do Giving Tuesday in so many different ways through social media. You can send emails. There's lots of ideas. You can lead up to Giving Tuesday and all that kind of good stuff. So, and you want to find that matching donor or corporate partner. You want to offer an opportunity for donors to invite in their network. So this is where you really inspire people that feel really passionate. We know how passionate people are about the environment, about climate change, but also, it might be a medical condition, it might be for pets, whatever it is, you want to offer that opportunity. So what you can do, and we see this a lot, is people will say, you can give your gift and then send this to 3 friends. And so you're able to sort of allow them to send that appeal to 3 friends. And then they can invite people in that they think would be interested in the cause. So this is another example of trying to broaden your base, because it's really hard to acquire those new donors. So you want to broaden your base. If you have, 100 donors right now, or 1,000 donors, or 10,000, whatever it is, that filling that donor funnel, if you will, making sure we always inspire new donors, is really key. Using this opportunity to invite people in and getting your donors to do it, they'll say, oh, I want to, have, so-and-so indicated that they were interested in the environment. I'd like to invite them in to share about the organization. So offering that opportunity to your donors is great. Segmenting your donors. So whether you have 100 donors, once again, or 10,000, doesn't really matter. Segmenting those donors so that you've got donors that gave to you in the last 6 months. So those donors that maybe gave to you in the last 6 months or the last year, you would send a very different message to than you would your donors that are lapsing. We're going to be talking about lapsing in a second. But donors that maybe, and people are always a bit nervous to ask too much, because we do get people complaining in this sector, oh, I get asked too much, or, they just treat me like I'm an ATM or whatever. We don't want that feeling. But you can invite people that have made a gift, let's say, from, I'm just trying to do math calculation in my head, from July forward. So from January to July, you can invite those people to make a year-end donation. but please don't call it a year-end donation. You want to inspire them to give to something really personal within your organization. By calling it year-end fundraising, or, make sure to get your tax receipt, that doesn't sort of give those warm feelings of philanthropy. That kind of feels like an oil change transaction, right? So we don't want that. We want that warm story-like kind of appeal for people. So if you segment them and you ask them, so people that are most likely to give to you, you guessed it, are people that have already given to you. And some people are a bit nervous to ask them too much. The biggest reason, there's lots of different books on fundraising, of course, but the biggest reason we found in a lot of the literature, this is mostly fundraising literature behind me, is why people don't give is because they're not asked, which sounds kind of funny. So we want to make sure that we are asking. So segment your donors is really key. Reaching out to lapsed donors. So I would say a lapsed donor is somebody that hasn't given to you from December 31st of 2021 and backwards to the beginning of 2019. So 2019, 2020, and 2021. If they haven't given to you in 2022, but they gave to you in one of those 3 years, you can even go back to 18 if you want, but I would probably stick within those 3 years. Reaching out to them, and you know what you're going to say to them? You're going to say, we miss you as a donor. Like, we miss you. And it's amazing how that kind of language, I did a Miss You campaign. I tried to convince them for 2 years, maybe 3 years, to do a Miss You campaign, one of my clients, and they did one. And they were shocked. They phoned me. They were so excited. One of those donors gave them $5,000. So once again, you just never know. We look at our finances and our fundraising from a perspective of our fiscal and how we look at the fundraising. Donors don't think that way. So donors won't remember that they haven't given. They may just, kind of go on with their lives like all of us do, right? So reminding donors, you miss them. Here's what's happened with the money that you gave, and here is what we hope to do with more funding. Here's where the need is, and you want to inspire them. So reach out to those lapsed donors. I would love this to be on the list of 3 things, because this is probably one of the easiest things you're going to do, going to generate some revenue for you. Number 6, you want to offer a monthly giving option. How many people have, I should have told everybody, Giving Tuesday is November 29th this year. How many people have a monthly giving program for their organization? Oh, I went too fast there. How many people have monthly giving? You want to write in the chat and let me know? I'm just trying to go back here. There we go. Anybody? Oh, Kelvin does. Way to go, Kelvin. Oh, Sandra, of course, Sandra does, from the Wild Bird Center. Donald does. Okay, fantastic. So we do have some people that know what they're doing. So that's fantastic when it comes to monthly giving. This is an option to say, to encourage people to sign up as well. So you can use this as an option for giving. You can give this as an option for people to give a gift. So we know that those gift catalogs, give somebody a goat. Obviously, it's not a real goat. It's a symbolic goat. Those things do really, really well. So you can give a monthly option as well to give a gift for 2023 for someone on your list. So you can say, oh, we know how much, if you have somebody on your list that loves the environment or loves wild birds, for Sandra, for instance, you can indicate that would be a great gift you can give, and give $10 a month. And you can give now for all year round, and let that person know in 2023 that you're going to be giving a gift on behalf of them. So lots of different options for monthly giving. And there are so many of my clients, I work with a lot of different clients, so many of them reached out to me, because I've been doing this for a really long time, reached out when the pandemic started, and they said they do not know what they would do without monthly giving when the pandemic started, because it was just that sustainable revenue that would come in. So if you haven't investigated monthly giving, dip your toe in, like in the next 53 days or whatever, and just try something in terms of monthly giving. I had an organization that I helped go from 600 monthly donors to 3,500 monthly donors. with some strategy that we worked on. And that organization really, truly, that's the only thing that got them through the pandemic. So this is something that can be really, really valuable for you. And all you have to do, well, there's a book by a good friend of mine by the name of Harvey McKinnon. He wrote a book all about monthly giving. So you can hunt down, maybe Owen can put that in the chat as well. His name is Harvey McKinnon, and he wrote a gift book on monthly giving. He wrote two. One's called Hidden Gold, and I can't remember the name of the second one now. The second one is the newest one, so it's just an easy read. It's definitely something that that would benefit your organization. Okay, so we're getting on to monthly giving. And then, of course, number 7, ask your volunteers for a gift. And some people go, oh my heavens, Sam, but they give of their time. You would not believe how many volunteers just say, like, I was never asked. And you can word it in a way that we know you give greatly of your time. If this holiday season you wanted to give a gift, thank you so much for doing that. And if at this time, you can word it in a way that you might get a complaint. I'm just warning you. But it is also really good to remind everybody. Legacy giving, which is giving in your will. It is shocking how many people never, ever, ever tell the organization, but they'll have volunteered for you for 10 years. And then they pass away and they leave you like $100,000. Happens all the time. So your volunteers sometimes have capacity. They tend not to say anything about it. They tend to be a bit of a quieter bunch in terms of their philanthropy, but you can ask your volunteers for a gift. Number 8 is creating a way for donors to engage their colleagues. So we know right now there's a lot of bird. I can't believe I said that. I'm thinking about you, Sandra. There's a lot of holiday parties. So this would be an example of you could adopt a bird for your organization or adopt something in your group, within your mandate, and ask people to raise money for that. So maybe it's it's $1,000 for care for something in your organization, and you ask colleagues, people to gather around and do that, as opposed to a holiday party or as opposed to giving cheap gifts to each other. They can create a way to do this. So engaging your donors to say, have you thought about sharing with your colleagues at work? This is the kind of thing you do, and then you would encourage them to do that. This is very, very lucrative, and this is something I implemented. It was always kind of done very kind of not strategically in a place that I worked, and I worked there for 9 years. My second or third year there, I started to be really strategic about this, and it's amazing now how much that program continues to raise, because we engaged our own donors and encouraged them to spread the word to their workplaces. And you would have people say, we've decided not to have a holiday party this year, and we're donating, $100 on behalf of each staff. And all of a sudden it's $1,500. So it can be really lucrative. And also making sure that corporations know that if somebody gives a gift and they've got that matching program at their work, then that's also really good for people. You can find some stories to tell. Find a story a week that you could tell. Even start for Giving Tuesday, like 3 or 4 weeks there, and tell a story about your organization to inspire. You can do this through obviously all your social media. You could email a little story to your people. This is really an opportunity to inspire, and then you've got your appeals that come. So this is a soft ask. Always, 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 no matter what you're doing, whether it's your newsletter or something, even if it's subtle, you can have an opportunity there for people to give. So telling a story a week, it's something I'm doing with one of my clients right now. And we started it, Thanksgiving weekend in Canada. So we're doing one every single week. And it is just very, it's just a way to keep people engaged. And we get to tell great stories about programs as well. Absolutely use social media. You're thinking, oh my gosh, Sam, of course we're going to use social media. But once again, definitely use those opportunities. If you're getting gifts through Canada Helps, however you're doing it, you can use social media. If everybody's not familiar with Canada Helps, Owen, feel free to throw that as well in there about Canada Helps. If you're not already set up with them, it would be maybe wise to do so. If you are set up with them, they've also got great resources. A good friend of mine, Jacob O'Connor, is one of the big wigs there. They're always hosting great webinars and stuff. They've got some great ideas as well, how to use social media, how to do monthly giving. but using social media. So, this would be a great as well to find something you're raising money for. So, whether it's a thing or a service or a program, saying, by, and put a date on it. So say, by December 15th, we need to raise $2,500 to do X. So that's always a great way to kind of do that as well. A phone-a-thon. So I just did this on I think it was the Thursday or Friday, the Thursday before Thanksgiving. So we did a phone-a-thon, and we had all the team, which was a little bit of a bigger team than some smaller organizations, but we had, I think there was about 8 members, all called between 25 and 40 donors that day. So once again, this is something, fundraising is a team sport. You are not meant to do it alone. So you can invite in board members to participate, volunteers to participate, a little bit of training. This one takes a little bit of time. It may not be something you can pull together, but even find 2 or 3 donors to phone a day leading up to that day. I mean, if you could do that, you could potentially, speak to 100 donors. It could be your whole list, for instance, depending on the size of your organization. So phone-a-thon is always very popular. And once again, I've kind of mentioned this already, but create a challenge and set a goal. So you can challenge people to raise money for, maybe it's a new piece of equipment or, something like that. It's a small capital item, or maybe it's to fund, a particular program, but find something and set a goal, and then you can really inspire people to do that. And then what's great about doing that is that in January, you have a reason to touch base with them again, because you can tell them how they impacted through this particular thing. So this is where we come down to, and we heard the word a few minutes ago, segmenting that donor base and becoming, really strategic and tactile when it comes to an initiative around it. So if you find something in your organization you want to raise money for, you can become really, really smart about that. And then the reporting back to donors is really key, which is the stewardship piece, which we'll talk about in a minute. Number 13, and I know this is going to seem really funny. You're like, oh my gosh, Sam, we're talking about fundraising and you're asking us to ask people for money. I'm doing this specifically because a lot of organizations become a bit shy about what they're doing and they don't ask enough. So, and I touched on this a little bit. So if you've never done an e-appeal and you have 100 emails, try an e-appeal. If you've never phoned donors before, try phoning donors. If you find donors in your database that have given to you 3 times over the last 2 or 3 years, ask them to become a monthly donor. And, a lot of people sort of say, well, of course we're fundraising, and, but a lot of times we don't really kind of have a plan. And I talk a lot about kind of what we need to create kind of a fundraising plan. And obviously you need that strategic plan, and you have a case for support and a fundraising plan and a strategic plan in terms of stewardship, and you've got a comms plan. But sometimes at the end of the day, when you look at the calendar and you think, I've got 53 days left, you just ask as much as you can. You may not have the greatest fundraising plan in the world. You may, think, oh my gosh, we're crunched for time. We don't have a lot of time. Just ask for the money. You're not going to be successful 100% of the time. And if you are, please call me and tell me your tricks, because I've been doing this a really long time. The one thing I will tell you is if you don't ask, you will not get a gift. So find different ways to ask. When I worked in an organization for 9 years, a very popular organization here in Ottawa, and we would get the odd complaint, maybe one a week, people saying, oh, you mail to me too much, or you use color photos, or whatever they were calling to complain about that day. And it was my job, I don't know how I came up with this, but for whatever reason, it became my job to answer those complaints. And what I realized over time is people weren't just calling to complain because they didn't have anything better to do. They actually really believed in what we were doing. It's that they wanted us to use the money the most effective way. So what I realized is just having really honest conversations with them. So I used to say to people, we wish we didn't have to mail as much, but the reality is if we don't mail and we don't appeal to people in different ways, people typically don't wake up in the morning and go, I know what I'm going to support. I'm going to support Tucker House. I know what I'm going to support. I'm going to support, you know, the bird sanctuary. I'm going to support wherever it is. So when people sort of understood that they had to get some sort of, you know, prompt to give, then they understood why we did what we did. So if you get complaints or anything like that, just be honest with people that, you know, you're trying to do the kind of work that it takes. And I used to say to people all the time that I would rather be on the phone with 100 donors a day talking about why we do what we do than, in my case, I worked at a homeless shelter, then turn around and look at the 240 men that were going to stay at the shelter that night and tell them I didn't work hard enough that day to raise the kind of money we needed for all the extra programs, which was, you know, high school, it was addictions programs, was all of that. So would I rather take some complaints from donors or look back and tell people, vulnerable people in our city, that I couldn't do my job? So that's kind of how I always kind of looked at it, is that, you know, a lot of people and a lot of boards, and I don't mean to be picking on boards because I love them, a lot of boards get very scared about, you know, making people upset. But if people really understood the competitive side of fundraising and how we have to inspire people, I think they would understand that, you know, if we don't ask enough, then we're definitely losing out on revenue. Because you have to remember, fundraising has to be about being joyful. I would never want a gift that wasn't joyful for somebody. If somebody handed me $1,000 and begrudgingly said to me, okay, Sam, here's $1,000 to help the polar bears, and they were not happy about it, I wouldn't want their money. I would deny the money. Because at the end of the day, philanthropy is about joyful giving. And if it's not, we're doing something wrong, because we want to inspire people to join us. It's meant to be, you know, kindness, a kindness transaction. It's not meant to be, you know, it's meant to be a relationship. It's not meant to be an oil change, right? So we want it to be joyful. So if we're asking joyfully and we can receive joyfully, that's when we're doing it right. So we also want to use a countdown clock. This is lots of fun. I've done it before, where you can say we need to raise X amount of dollars before December 15th, and you can have a little clock in terms of your social media, or you can do it on your website. Lots of different ways to use those clocks, and chat about the whole knowledge about time, talent, and treasure with your board. So we always like to see 100% board giving. Not all organizations have that same philosophy. That's okay. But a lot of boards will like to sort of do a board gift. Everybody gives meaningful to them. So you might see one board member give $25. You might see another board member give $1,000. It isn't discussed at the board table. Everybody gives something meaningful for them. But the bottom line is 100% board giving. So it's a great way to engage your board, especially this time of year. So in terms of stewardship, or shifting gears a little bit. So stewardship, for those that aren't familiar with that term, is really, you know, the thank you side in fundraising. I always like to look at it too as the next step to the next gift, right? So just like your mother, or your grandmother, when she used to maybe send you $25 or $5 in a card for your birthday, and your mom would say, did you thank your grandma yet? It's the same sort of philosophy. So we want to make sure we get those thank yous out there quickly. And we want to make sure that we feel like we've thanked the donor a lot, and the donor feels thanked. This can be very generic, but we prefer it to be very personal, but that can take some time. Even a little handwritten note on the bottom of the receipt, a handwritten card, a thank you from the board, or from yourself, whatever that looks like. So stewarding your donors is such a key part. So this is a great opportunity as we head to this end of year to really kind of take stewardship, let's call that the chocolate, and take fundraising, which is, I don't know, let's say the peanut butter, and we smush them together. What happens when chocolate and peanut butter come together? Deliciousness happens. So we know that that's the best, you know, to kind of combine the two. So do that for this next 57 days. is take the chocolate and the peanut butter, smush them together, and do stewardship for the next 57 days while you're fundraising. You don't have to fundraise and then thank, and then fundraise and then thank. When you smush them together, you get joy, pure joy, because you can be thanking a donor for a gift, and you know what sometimes happens? They give again. So you might thank a donor today for a gift that they gave that maybe you haven't thanked them for. Maybe you did the receipt and everything, but you could be thanking donors that gave in March or April, and picking up the phone right now and saying, hey, I just wanted to say thank you very much. We're looking, forward to a very busy 2023. But we just wanted to recognize some of those donors that have given to us in 2022. And I wanted to pick up the phone today and thank you. So this is a great opportunity to do that, is to thank your donors. I'm going to take a soft pause because I want to introduce Chantel Hyde. She's the Sustainability Capacity Solutions Executive Director. She's going to spend a few minutes with you, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to spend more time together talking about how you can fundraise and all the good stuff that I promised you. So I'm going to stop my sharing right now, and we're going to let Chantel take the floor. Chantel, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Sam. Thank you for everything you've shared. I don't know if anyone else been taking notes, but I have. This is amazing. But yes, thank you. I'm just going to let me know if you guys can see this. Hopefully you can see my presentation. Okay, perfect. All right, yes. So as Sam had said, my name is Chantel. I'm the Eco-Executive Director for Sustainable Capacity Solutions, and I'm just here to kind of chat with you guys, or present on what we do, because we are the sponsor for the CBI series this week. So Sustainable Capacity Solutions, we are kind of the one-stop shop for capacity building needs for Canadian environmental organizations. We operate nationally in scale, trying to build the internal operations of organizations so that you guys and the amazing work you guys are doing can achieve your mission and join us in the fight against climate change. And so I kind of talked about our mission, but actively we've been working with over 120 organizations across Canada, supporting them, providing them. And kind of what makes us different is we provide practical hands-on experience. It's not just kind of insight, we'll work with you, if depending on your capacity and your needs, we have the resources, the tools, and kind of the expertise to help you get where you want to grow your organization. And so the way in which we do this is, the way I like to kind of give a visual is Sustainable Capacity Solutions is kind of the mother organization and is partnered with 5 social enterprises that focus on kind of the main themes for each organization to build their capacity. So there's CBI, which Hannah spoke about in the beginning, eco internships. They focus on HR and staffing. Obviously, we need staff to implement the projects. Greenbooks does bookkeeping support to kind of, relieve the stress of finances. Eco Executive Director does the administrative support, and Sustainable Philanthropy gives fundraising support. And then we have our key founding partner, which is SEO, Sustainable Eastern Ontario, and our seed funder for SCS is the Sustainable Capacity Foundation. And so I'm just going to kind of skip through CBI. Hannah talked about them. They do our main training for SCS. So when you are introduced to Sustainable Capacity Solutions, if you need training, whether it's for interns or leaders, CBI does this, as Hannah had said. These are kind of our lead trainers. And then I'm just going to fast forward to eco internships, because this is an organization that we haven't chatted about. So it's kind of the idea that most nonprofits don't have stable funding to sustain for payroll for full-time staff. So we actually promote working with interns. They're postgrads, they're looking to enter the environmental sector, they want to kind of expand their skill sets. And it's a great way to strengthen your organizational capacity, right? It improves organizational diversity. And like I said, it provides opportunities for youth, right? And, we need them in the sector. And so the way in which we do this is, in total, we've supported 61 organizations and secured 153 internships. We have a quote here from Mitchell Beer from Energy Mix. Chris was an excellent intern to have hired him, and then he was actually able to continue full time with the organization, which has been an amazing opportunity for the nonprofit and the intern, right? And then the way in which we do this, we don't only promote it, but we actually help organizations find these staff. So we navigate the grants and we help apply for the wage subsidies. So that's kind of one step. The next step is actually doing the hiring and the onboarding process. So finding candidates that are right to your organization. And then every wage subsidy, you always have to do the funding reports, right? So we monitor these processes and support you in making sure you meet those deadlines. And then the last piece is we want to make sure that these interns are, their placement is successful. And so we'll provide the mentorship, training, additional support for the interns as needed to make sure that, they support your organization and then they get the most out of the opportunity. And then for the training piece, all of the organizations are connected. So we utilize CBI for this. And then the next is Eco-Executive Director. So it's this idea that, again, not all small shop environmental nonprofits can afford an executive director, right? Like the full-time salary, it's a lot to kind of pull out of the budget. And so what we do is we actually have a shared executive director role between 3 organizations, and you pay a part of that salary. And then you get a certain amount of hours a week to help with this administrative work, right? Like financial management, fund development, leadership, organizational culture, risk management, legal issues, kind of the whole scope. Any administrative tasks, an EcoED would be there to support you, so that you don't have to struggle to pay someone, right? You only have to pay a third of their salary. And so we actually, EcoED works with your team in a collaborative approach. We'll meet with you, see where you are at, what your main focus needs to be, and make sure those projects are implemented. And they keep touching base with you to make sure that, we're growing the organization the way you want to see. We do it by interacting with the board, current staff you have, and then, creating fundraising opportunities, and that kind of thing. And then Green Books. Like I said, Green Books, our mission is, to help you deliver on your mission without wasting time worrying about the books. Most nonprofits don't have the financial background or experience, education, to manage the books. And we recognize that. And so we're here to support you with that and relieve that stress, the hours upon hours of trying to organize the books. We're here to support you in that, kind of relieve that stress, as well as, help expand your knowledge on finances so that you can build some independence on your own. And the way in which we do that is by providing a whole scope of services from payroll, tax filing, financial statements for your board meetings, everything like that. So it's kind of a full scope up until you need an accountant. And then this is the SES team. So this is everyone. We work collaboratively, supporting each other, making sure that each organization that enters our networks feels supported and is getting the help that they need. And if you want to contact us to learn about any of our services, you can email me at outreach@Sustainable Capacity Solutions, or you can go to our website and fill out our form to get in contact with us. These are a couple of our partners. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you to each social enterprise you may be wanting support with. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very much. We've got some great questions here, and we also have some opportunities to, oh, I'll just get you, Chantel, to pull that down, and then I can pull the other one back up.
There you go.
Thank you so much. We're going to go back here for a second. Okay. So we've got some great questions. Thank you so much. Jessica and Cass both asked some really good questions. So I'm going to get through as much as I can here. And then we will have an opportunity to get to that. As I mentioned a couple times, inviting people to join you in because fundraising, once again, is a team sport. So make sure you try to find 2 or 3 people that can help you and ask them, you know, do you know anybody that would want to join our group? Now, one of the reasons I want to bring this part up right now is the question that I received from Jessica. So the question here is, I was wondering if our organization only has 2 donors, what would you suggest we do? So if your goal is to raise more money and really engage with more donors, that you need a little bit of a plan. But the very first thing I would do, Jessica, the very first thing I would do is I would contact those donors and ask them why they give. I don't know if these are big donors. I don't know if they're small, you know, smaller number in terms of the monies that they give. But, you know, this would be a much bigger conversation. But I would suggest, you know, starting, you know, and saying, okay, we've got 2 donors right now. We want to get to 20 donors. How are we going to do that? And engaging with the 2 donors that you have to find out what inspires them. Look at your mantra. Start with, you know, why somebody would give to you, a case for support, all those good things. But it's a much bigger question than I can answer right now, but there's some ideas to get you started. Cass Harris asked a really great question. How do we approach corporate partners in a way that makes them want to partner with us? Well, as we heard it a few minutes ago, Cass, we want it to be joyful. So find a company that makes sense for you. So for instance, if you're an organization that is, you know, tied to the environment, then what you want to do is you want to find some organization that believes in the environment. So you want to find places that I would suggest, if you're a smaller group, you try to find a smaller business. I know that sounds kind of funny, but sometimes working through big corporations, like if you were an organization and you're like 2 staff and, you know, maybe, you know, you've got 100 donors, it's gonna be really hard for you to get a donation from the TD Bank, but it may be really easy for you to partner with the accounting firm down the street. So try to find places that already have a connection to you and start that way. One organization I worked with, they decided to partner with a local real estate organization. It's amazing how much that raised. It raised them like $25,000 a year. And what it was is they gave them a little bit off of every sale of a house that year. So all sorts of different ways to creatively do it. But just start somewhere. Start with an organization. This is a great place too to ask your board who may want to partner. One of their companies might be interested, or they might know of somebody. Once again, it's a team sport. Can't do it by yourself. Okay. So I want to invite and encourage you to invite people in to do it. We want to think about 2023 already. I know it's hard to believe. I booked my first speaking gig for 2023 the other day, and I just about fell off my chair. It's coming so fast. So I want you to grab a piece of paper beside you, and I want you to very quickly, because we only have a few minutes, I want to very quickly think about why you want to raise more money in 2023. Why do you want to do it? It might be really obvious for some people. My people, I'm in a capital campaign. I need to raise more money. So really quickly, just whatever first comes to your head, why we want to raise money. Well, we want to raise more money because we want to do more programs. We want to raise more money because we want to save more cats. We want to raise more money because we want to plant more trees, whatever it is. Okay. So what's your why? Really quickly. Okay. Who do you want to bring to the table? So Cass was just saying, you know what? I'd like a corporate partner. So you can write down just what comes right off your mind. I want 3 corporate partners. I want to get 100 more donors. Or maybe like Jessica, I want 5 more donors, whatever it is. Who do you want to bring to the table? And / who do you want to help you? So I want to engage 2 board members. I want to start a fundraising committee, whoever that is. So who do I want to bring to the table? What do I actually want to raise the money for? What do I want to, do something for instance, for a homeless shelter, for instance, I want to feed 100 more people. So what do you want to do? And not only what do you want to raise money for, but what strategies are you going to use? So really quickly, just, how do you want to do that? Basically, what do you want to accomplish there? Where do you want to do it? Now, it might be, you might think to yourself, well, we're here in Ottawa and I want to, be at, I want to go to a market and try and engage new donors at a market. I want to do an event. I want to, we only raise money really in the community of Barrhaven. I really want to spread to Canada. Whatever that is, where do you want to do it? Where do you want to do it for 2023? So just really quickly off the top of your head, when do I want to do this? So you might say to yourself, okay, and this always shocks people. Whenever I say this to my clients, they have a heart attack. When you look at the calendar of 2023, you think, well, there's 365 days. I don't know how to break it to you, but there's probably about 240 days in there that are actually good fundraising days. You take out the summer months, you take out the holidays, now you're down to that time, then you take out the weekends, and now you're down to probably about 200 days, okay? So it goes by really, really quickly. So when do you want to do some of these strategies? So if you take a couple of ideas, you don't have to finish all this right now, but just get an idea. I really want to do something in the spring, and I really want to do an initiative in the fall, and I want to do something for end of year. So take an idea of what you want to do there. And how do you want to do it? How do you want to do it digitally? Are you looking at doing old-fashioned direct mail, which, by the way, raises a lot of money? Do we want to implement a monthly giving program for the first time? How do you want to do it? So you can do all of that, just really, really simply. And I know it's going to sound funny, but that little exercise, I do it every year with my clients. I do it a little bit more time than we have today. But it can be really effective just to kind of very quickly, high level, what do we want to accomplish? And then what you're going to do is take that 2023, put it up on a wall, put it on your, sticky note or whatever it is, and think about the next 57 days, how to set yourself up for success for those 6 items that we just talked about, the 5 W's and the H. What can I do in the next 57 days that are going to help this plan? And that can be all of things. You want to test monthly giving, you want to ask your board to give a gift, whatever it is. Those 3 or 4 things we've hoped that you've written down today, combine it with this, and it'll help you guide you for the next 57 days. Once again, don't try to take on too much. I want to leave you with this. This is, and I'll tell you, because I have, once again, I told you right off the top, I've made every mistake in the book. I have not taken care of myself because I'm working too hard, right? And a lot of us do that. And sometimes become burnt out, and we're not good for our families. So celebrate the wins. So if, and you got to define those wins, which we're going to talk about in a second, defining success, but celebrate those gifts, because we know the competition of fundraising. We know how challenging it is to get our message out. So when you do have something, just bathe in it for a minute, like really, really understand how important it is you had that win. And I'm not to pick on poor Sandra, because it just happens to see her name a few times. But I know Sandra, we worked together on something a couple of years ago. There was a huge win out of that. And it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with Sandra. And it was just one of those things where you just think like, you're doing good things. And of course, your job is to raise money if you're the fundraiser or the executive director, to bring in revenue. But I find sometimes we're just so quick to jump onto the next thing we need to do. So just make sure you do that. Be kind to yourself throughout this, definitely be kind to yourself, because it can be really, really lonely being a fundraiser. And I'll tell you, because I know, because I had one. Define success for yourself. So a lot of the times they're like, okay, you need to raise $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, whatever it is. But you also have to use other metrics to define success. So you might have written 10 grants to get one successful one. So you have to know and share with your board what it took you to get that one. And then you go back and circle back and you head up to the celebrate the wins again. You might have asked, 30 partners, 30 corporations to become a corporate partner, and you get one. So celebrate and define that success for yourself in fundraising. It isn't all about the money. And I know boards always kind of go, of course it's about the money. It is, but also you have to understand how important it is for you to have other ways to define the success of fundraising. It's the amount of people that you connect with. It's the amount of stewardship you do. It's all of these pieces. It's not just about the money. I love spending time every single month with this group, and I'm hoping you got something out of today. Feel free to reach out to me. These are all my deets. Definitely, feel free to share any successes that you might have, any questions you might have. I know we're really tight on time. I'm already keeping you a minute after, but I want to thank you so much for spending time with us today. And it's always a pleasure. Hannah always takes good care of us. Appreciate all the help Owen gave us tonight too. And thank you so much for joining us here at the Capacity Building Institute. And I hope you'll join us again.